program. We'll go like 20 or 25 minutes to give people time to eat, and then once it looks like people are finishing up, we'll go ahead and go through the awards ceremony. I appreciate everyone being here. I know we're missing a few guys to play baseball and things like that, but I wanted to get it in before spring break and try not to get too far into the spring sports with track meets and real baseball games and things like that. So I do appreciate everyone getting here, and let's have a good time, because I thought all the way up through our program we had a good season by all of our teams. So we'll talk about that more later on, but once again, thank you. And Pastor Chuck, if you can go ahead, please.
Yeah, let's pray. Heavenly Father, we're thankful for the opportunity to be here tonight, thankful for these young athletes and their coaches, and just the excellence that we saw this year. We thank you for all the hard work and effort. Thank you for the parents that have helped along the way as well. And we just pray tonight, Lord, this would truly just be a celebration of all the great things that took place this year. And we pray your blessing and encouragement to every family member, every young person, and every athlete. And this food, Lord, may be a blessing to our body. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Hey, junior and senior parents.
Morning.
Obviously, boys basketball event, grade 7 to 12. This is something we started last year. I thought it was important for us to kind of be in that program. I know we did the all-program dinner with grades 3 through 12. I thought that went really well to start the season, but I like finishing the season with our older guys and our older families. As I was saying before we got started eating, I was really happy all the way up through. Our 7th grade team, I know that they may not have gotten as many wins as they really wanted, but it's not always about wins and losses. It's also about improvements. And I thought as the season went on, you guys improved and improved and improved. I was kind of upset at your tournament game. I was there like all morning, and then right before you guys had to play, I had to get out of there, so I didn't get a chance to see you guys play. But the coaches told me how happy they were with our 7th grade team and how they played in the tournament. And they pretty much said if we would have been playing like that all year, we would have won a bunch of games. But I think it's a credit to our players for continuing to battle new things. So I'm very, very proud of our 7th grade team. Our 8th grade team, obviously, more and more people are starting to talk about our 8th grade team. And you guys had a great season. And you guys got a great team, but it's going to be a matter of whether they can come together and stay together as a team. And understand that you can't win games alone. It has to be a total team effort. And that also means that you got to put in some time in the off season as well. And I know that there were a couple of 8th graders that came and worked out in the fall with our varsity guys, and I thought that helped them get a lot better and helped our 8th grade team continue with some success that they had as 7th graders as well. Our freshman team, I think, Glenn, you're the only one here tonight? Okay, everybody else is playing baseball and other stuff, but I really like our freshman team. Okay, you talk about a bunch of guys that played basketball really, really hard. That was our freshman team, and I really appreciated how hard they worked and continue to get better as the season went on as well. I know early on, Coach Seiler had a few issues, and he kept coming to me and saying, "How do I do this? How do I do that?" But by the end of the season, I like how you guys started to come together as a team. I know Coach Seiler did a lot of team bonding with pizza parties and things like that. And parents, if you don't know, the best way to find out about your kids is invite them to your house and have food. And the more food you have, the more they start talking. So just a word to the wise as they continue to get older. Our JV team, I was really impressed with our JV team. They went through a little stretch where they weren't playing as well. And then after a couple of conversations, we sat down as a JV team and a varsity team, and we talked about some of our goals and talked about accountability and things like that. And they started, as they began to hold each other more accountable, they started playing better. And as they played better, the wins started to come. And I was really happy with the way that they finished out their season as well. And then obviously our varsity team, I thought we played really well, especially at the very beginning. Even though I know I don't have very much hair, but I about pulled out all the rest of it that I had those first probably 8 to 10 games. It's felt like every game we're in an overtime or a 1 or a 2 point game, which I know for fans it's fun, but it's not always fun for us coaches. But it was good to see because we were able to pull those games out. And then as the season went on, we started to develop a little bit of an identity. And I thought we got everything that we wanted. I'll talk a little bit later about some of our wins and how proud I am, not just of our varsity team, but our seniors, especially with Braylon and Braylon. You guys are like a law firm, Braylon and Braylon. But they did a great job all season long leading our team, and hopefully the juniors and the sophomores learned a little bit from those guys, and we'll continue on to push that way. So we'll start off with our 7th grade coach. Coach Seiler is going to come up, and he has some certificates for our 7th graders and a little bit of a couple things to say about them as well.
First and foremost, thank you everybody. Thanks for coming out and celebrate the children, the great year they had. One thing about the 7th grade I want to say is our record does not reflect the growth that I think we experienced throughout the course of the season. This is something that we started out the year. We had some trials and tribulations, but as we kind of grew more confident in our skills and abilities, we grew as athletes, which I think is key for us growing as young adults as we start considering what we're going to do going forward in this. Obviously, there's more than basketball in life. And I think with the work ethic and the determination and the grit that our group showed, it's going to be a successful group going forward, both athletically and beyond the high school level. So I want to thank all the kids and parents for kind of going through the ride this year. Hopefully everybody comes back next year, because I think based on how we ended that season with our tri-way game, I think we're going to be a lot better team next year than what we showed this year record-wise. So I'm looking forward to see what you guys do moving forward. I'll keep it short and sweet, get you guys up here. If everyone can remain up here, so Miss Paula can get some pictures of the team afterwards, I greatly appreciate it. And then we'll get on to the 8th grade, all right? First, I got Cameron Shelton. We'll have Camden Handwork. Luke Baldwin. Not here today. Ivan Casto. Armando Milladad. I think Josh Lewis is here today. Camden Jackson. Jonah Hayslip. Xavier Gillen. Elijah Chalfant. Is he here today? I think so. Oops, sorry, brother. Triton Rep.
Had the privilege of coaching these boys the last 2 years. And I would say this year, I think, tested us more than 7th grade year, because as much as we had success, they battled a lot kind of behind the scenes and off the court as far as trying to find themselves and figure out who they're going to be now, and maybe, paving the way when it comes to high school. They were pushed and challenged in ways they haven't been pushed and challenged before. And the one thing I like about this group is they have that never give up, never say die attitude, and they always found ways to answer and work hard. And as much as we had ups and downs this year, fellas, there was never a dull moment with you guys, and you guys always found a way to make it a lot of fun. So I couldn't be more proud to have had the opportunity to coach you guys the last 2 years, and I look forward to seeing where you guys go in high school, because it's not too often that I think I go to the store and you run into people of the community that talk about coming to watch an 8th grade team. And we have people that didn't even have kids on the team that wanted to come out and see what you guys are all about, and I think that says a lot. So I can be proud. All right, so we'll start with Dom.
Okay.
Liam Greedy. Ollie Lorson. Ian Stowers. Preston Cox. Carter Hamward. Lakeith Clinkscale. Caden Kuraski. Aiden Roberts. CJ Enzer. Jackson Seiler. Desire Taylor. Carter West.
here, but before I start, I was told when I took the freshman job that the group of kids I had was going to be a challenge, and that was true. It was definitely a challenge, but it was a lot of fun. I think there was a point in time where I really questioned, do you guys like just dislike each other? If one of them would make a mistake, they would just argue and bicker, but we did a lot of team bonding, and I watched them grow and come together. I think we started 1-5. We ended up finishing the season 8-8, and we won our first round tournament in the Wayne County Athletic League freshman tournament against Smithville. So we grew together, and I'm excited to see what they can do next year as sophomores. So Glenn, come on up.
Thank you.
JV guys.
So obviously, I had this team last year as freshmen, and I think everyone came back besides one. So that means a lot to me personally. And everyone wants to come back and play with me again, which I absolutely love. This group is really fun to coach. They're just a bunch of goofballs that play hard, and they do anything I have to. If someone comes to a wall, Don will run to a wall. Landon will take any charge in the state against anyone. So we don't like you. No, but everyone on the team had their moments this year, which I'm very proud of. You know, Landon took all the charges that he took, so he got hurt. Landon hit big threes against Kansas South, I think, in overtime. Or plus 1 or 2. But Jake always handling the ball, always handling all the pressure. Brendan knocking down big threes all the time, down big threes. Dom getting clutch steals against Kansas South and hitting a big three against Charlie to come back. Kyron always flying around, being Kyron, ugly as he is. So, but yeah, this group's very fun, and I love the group to death. Hope I see them all again next year. So we got Ryan. We got Dom.
All of you.
Jake. Josh. Mr. Pittsburgh Young. Team Vaughn. Team Vaughn. Landon. Parker's not here, he's at baseball. Brendan.
Be good.
And Carter.
Probably those first, 7 or 8 practices, we had a difficult time really telling who the JV was and the varsity was. For about those first few practices, and then the coaches kind of made a mistake. At the end of each practice, we talked about practice players of the day, and how practice went. And every one of those coaches said that the JV team was kicking the varsity team's butt, and I had to stick up for the varsity guys, right? But after that talk, I think the varsity guys got refocused, and for about, probably 2 weeks straight, JVs had a very difficult time. But it's a credit to those guys because they continue to play hard in practice. They push people in practice. I know sometimes they get a little frustrated because McDuffie would get on them in practice. If you don't know Braylon was like a ninth assistant, and whenever the JVs were in practice and they weren't talking, Braylon was going to let them know. And it was usually with, y'all don't want to win? If y'all don't want to win, y'all better start talking. So, I really appreciate Braylon, and the JV guys probably don't appreciate Braylon enough. But they all of a sudden started talking around that Tri-Way game, and they started winning, and they started playing better defense and things like that. So our JV team was very fun to watch, and I think that it's gonna be a tough situation with the 5 juniors that are coming back next year, and then you can see our entire JV team, which is not always the case, but our entire JV team was a team full of sophomores, which I absolutely love. When I would talk to other coaches, they would talk about how good their JV team was, and I'm like, yeah, you got juniors on your JV team as well, so don't tell me how great they are. They should be playing varsity if they're so great. And our sophomores went out and would compete every single night, so I really appreciate that about our sophomore group, and I'm interested to see when we went through our individual evaluations. I told them we got 5 juniors that probably should start next year, but then who's going to be 6, 7, 8, 9? Okay, and you can see there was more than 6, 7, 8, 9 up here, or that's how many they have on their team is 9. And I would imagine that all of them are going to come back, because all of them stayed at the end of the season to dress varsity as well. So there's going to be some good battles in the gym all spring, next fall, and then throughout the winter as well next year. So I expect to see big things out of that group of sophomores. Okay. Before I go on to the varsity guys, I just want to make sure that I give out a few thank yous. Number one, to all the parents for allowing our coaches to spend time with your kids. It's not always easy to just say, here you go, as a parent, to let your kid go. You always have to have trust in the people that you're allowing your kids to be around, and hopefully all of our coaches were able to not just teach your sons about basketball, but also teach them about life. And help them grow and be a part of them becoming good young men. Because I believe from top to bottom, we have great young men in our program, and I really appreciate the parents for raising good kids and then trusting and believing in us as coaches. I'd like to thank Ms. Paula. We need to give her a round of applause. Elementary all the way up through varsity is incredible. The time that she puts in taking pictures of everyone, not just the players, but parents, cheerleaders, and anyone else who happens to walk past her camera, you're going to get snapped as well. But I just really appreciate Ms. Paula. She's always been one of my biggest supporters. And when I decided to come back, I'm not sure that I have much of a choice, because I remember sitting in the stands beside her, and every time something would happen, she would look over at me like, okay, it's time. So she made my decision to come back pretty easy. So I just want to thank Ms. Paula for all she does for our kids. Obviously, I got to thank my wife, Sheila. She goes through a lot. As my coaches could tell you, I'm not the easiest person to deal with, especially during basketball season. You can ask Coach Corey Silent. He had to learn very early. He didn't understand, like when he would walk in the coach's office and they'd be like, don't touch that. Coach Slaughter put that, don't mess with anything. Don't hand out any uniforms, don't touch anything until Coach Slaughter tells you. So you can only imagine what it's like at home. I know I came home many nights not in a very good mood, or she'd try to be cheery and say, how was practice? And I was like, yeah, it's all right. And I just kept on moving. So she obviously puts up with a lot. She's been doing it for over 25 years. So I really appreciate her and everything that she puts up with throughout my seasons. I also got to thank Pastor Chuck. Pastor Chuck has been with me for a while doing my scorebook. As soon as I got hired, he was one of my first calls, hey, we're back and continue helping me out. And he said, absolutely. And I was talking to his wife, Susie, a little bit earlier. I said, it's probably a little bit of rest that he's at all those games, because you have to deal with him at home. But I definitely appreciate Pastor Chuck. Mark McCulley, he's not here tonight. Mark is one of my really, really good friends. We started coaching football together over 20 years ago. And he just loves Orrville basketball. I'm not sure he's missed very many Orrville basketball games over a span of about 45 years. And he does all the stats for our varsity boys, and it's amazing because he does it by hand, by himself. You'll see him sitting somewhere either at the sports table at the home games or behind the bench for the varsity or the away games. And I compare his stats to the stats that I send in the huddle and get back that are generated there, and he's never very far off. He might miss an assist or a foul somewhere, but 90% of the time he's right on with his stats. So I've always appreciated Mark and his stats. I have to thank my mom as well, Bev. Y'all know Bev, probably from Bueller's. But obviously, my mom has always been my biggest supporter. Everything I do and I've ever done has basically been for my mom. So I obviously got to thank her, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here right now. So thanks, Mom. I
You're
appreciate it. Very, very important people to me. And what I liked most about our coaching staff was that everyone was looking to help each other out. If you went to the middle school game, you saw the 7th grade coaches on the 8th grade bench, the 8th grade coaches on the 7th grade bench. You came to the freshman game, you see the 8th grade coach on the bench, you see the JV coach on the bench. You go to the JV game, you had the freshman coach, you had the 8th grade coach, you had the varsity coaches on the bench. And if you came to my game, you saw pretty much everybody that you could ever imagine. I think everybody that was in the game was on our bench that came to the game. So I do appreciate our coaches. I think we had a tight-knit coaching staff, and that's what allowed us to have a great time. Lots of laughs in the coach's office after games, and every once in a while there was a few tears as well. But that shows me that I was around a bunch of men. Because real men aren't afraid to show their emotions, and that was important to me. Some of them, most of them, were either my students, I can't believe I'm saying this, either my students or former players, and I just really appreciate everything that they did for me. Luke Smith, stand up, Luke. He's one of my former players, and one of our coaches at the 8th grade. We called Luke this year and said, "Hey Luke, why don't you help coach? You know, Alexander used to help coach, so why don't you help coach?" So we got his freshman him in coaching in the 8th grade. I think by the end of the season, he really enjoyed coaching. I think it's something that he should continue to look to do, because he could be a really, really good coach as he grows up, continues to grow and learning as a coach. I was about to say grow up, but yeah, you're like 25. Luke Smith was one. Wyatt didn't get a chance to play for me, but probably got kicked out of my class a few times. But no, Wyatt is, I stole him from the Boys and Girls Club a couple years ago, and he's done a great job with that when he had him in the 7th grade, and then with the 8th grade team. He works at the middle school with us every day, and he's just a guy that really loves kids. And that was part of the reason why I wanted him to help coach. He's one of the most competitive little guys I've ever seen, but it's just because he likes to win, and this program is very, very important to him. So I appreciate everything Wyatt did. Cody Seiler. Cody, I know he's heard this story plenty of times, but Cody is, and his players might not understand this, but part of the reason why Cody is such a fierce competitor is because he's had to fight for everything that he's ever gotten. Okay, you're talking about a kid you got cut in 7th grade, Cody?
8th grade.
8th grade, cut in 8th grade, cut in 9th grade,
Yep.
cut in 10th grade.
Didn't try out.
Didn't try out. Okay, but he came back as an 11th grader. Okay, he got cut 2 years in a row. They said, maybe I shouldn't do this anymore. And then as an 11th grader, he decided to come back and make the team. Was at the end of the bench on a state team. So he was 3 points away from becoming a state champion in basketball. And still to this day, he is the only player that I ever got to coach that played 4 years of college basketball all the way through. So it tells you something about him as a man and why he's so competitive and really tries to push the kids to do well as well. So, Cody, I just want to thank you. Coach Silent, even though he's the chief of police, I definitely was the chief when it came to the basketball squad. Like I said, he had to learn a lot about the way Coach Slaughter operates. I had to apologize to the guys a lot. Like, I'm sorry I'm so OCD, but I just have to do certain things a certain way. And he was usually, it was almost like they just pushed him just so they could laugh at him.
He needs medicated.
My wife would probably agree with that. You know, I watched Corey last year work down with the middle school guys, and he had always told me he wanted to move up and help at the high school level as well. And I thought he did a great job with our freshmen. Another one of my former students and a former player as well. So if you can't tell, I like Orrville guys. I think it really means something different when you're from Orrville and you're coaching here. Not to say, James, don't get too upset at me, because I know you wanted to be an Orrville guy. But it's just, I know someone had said to me before, you know, Coach Slaughter only hires Orrville people. Well, that's not true. It's only about 99.5% true. But Coach Seiler, I thought did a great job with freshmen. I appreciate everything. Our big guy on staff. Just a quick story about Coach Tyson. We were working in the Neon Knights tent, and Coach Tyson was there helping, and there was an adult that probably had a little bit more to drink than what he needed to have, and Coach Tyson was standing there, and I think he thought Coach Tyson was the pole. And then he looked at it the second time and he goes, "Holy crap, I didn't know they made humans that big." Coach Tyson just kind of looked at me and started laughing, and I wanted to tell the guy, you know, he's big, but he's a teddy bear. He did a great job with our sophomores. To see the relationship that he built with our sophomores was one of the funnest things to watch. They'd come in and they'd mess with him, and he would mess with them, and they'd go back and forth. And it was just neat to see that relationship between the coach and the players. You know, I'm glad that he's here, because I did think that I killed him one day in practice. He was the sprints got to him a little bit, and he wasn't moving for a little while. So he worried me for a little bit, but he's here. He did a great job of coaching last year as a freshman coach, and then also as a JV coach this year. So I appreciate everything that Coach Tyson did for us. Okay, some people know him, some people don't know him, but Mike Huberty, okay, see, this is part of that 0.5% of me not hiring Orrville people, but Coach Huberty was a member of the staff before, and the coaching staff before I came back. And one of the things that I did when I asked my son when I got the job, I said, you know, who should I keep? And the first person he said was Coach Huberty. And as I've gotten to know him more and more and work with him at the middle school, he's going to be a great young coach. Okay? He doesn't always believe in himself enough. And I always tell him, like, you're going to be great. You're going to be great. And I tried to give him some things throughout the years so that he could understand how much confidence I had in him, so that he can continue to grow that confidence. But he's a true gym rat. He gets involved in stats. He loves looking at stats, and he knows the game well. Okay? Whatever I gave to him, I didn't have to worry about, because I knew whether it was individual workouts, whether it was inbounds plays, whether it was set plays, he would do a great job with that. And I really appreciate all the time and effort you put into it. The next coach is Rocky Smith. We're going to stand up, Rock. Okay. You know, we talked a lot. We even bought the kids long sleeve shirts this year and they had the Brotherhood on there. And when we talk about Brotherhood, stand up real quick. Okay, Brian. Okay, so when I decided to do those shirts, okay,
Okay, part of the reason was because I want us to feel like a brotherhood. I wanted us to feel like a family. And part of that came from Coach Smith, okay, because when I was just this little snot-nosed freshman, he was a senior, and I just remember my first week of practice of playing with the varsity. They had a guy on the team named Chris Royer, and if you know anything about him, he was extremely good, and he would tell you how good he was. And I just remember my first couple days in practice, I was trying to guard him, and he was hitting threes, I think, from 35 or 40 feet out, and laughing at me and telling me I couldn't guard him. And I'm like, I'm just a freshman. You're a senior. I'm just trying. And it was Coach Smith who came over and said, come over and guard face, but I'm not going to talk crap to you. And from that day forward, he and I have become like this. We talk about brotherhood. He and I always address ourselves as being brothers, not friends. And the things that his family has done to me I have no words for. And so to get him back on staff this year was very, very important to me, just because he kind of knows who I am and the things that I do. That's why I think he sent Coach Mosley up at a time when I was a little fired up in the game. I told you, these guys like sending sheep to wolves. He did that to Coach Mosley, and we were just talking about that the other day. But Coach Rocky has always been a great coach. I love him to death as not just a coach and as a friend, but as a brother as well. So appreciate everything he's done for me. Next coach, Coach Mosley, go ahead and stand up. Coach Mosley has been with me, I don't know, probably my second year of coaching, second or third year. I asked you to come and coach down at the middle school. He ran our middle school programs. I didn't have to worry about anything when he was down there. And then he got to come up when I came back and be my JV coach for a year. And then this year he came up and was our varsity assistant. One thing I can tell you about Coach Mosley, you have to be careful what you tell him. Because when you tell him something, he's going to make sure that he lets everybody know everything. Okay? And that's something that he had to work on with me because I don't like to tell anybody anything. But it's a good thing because he really cares about kids. And if you give him something to do, he's going to go above and beyond. Okay? A lot of the things that I didn't like to have to deal with, I could give to Coach Mosley, and I didn't have to worry about it being taken care of, whether it was helping to buy snacks, whether it was talking to the kids or talking to a parent or anything like that. Coach Mosley was ready to do that, and we really appreciate everything he's done that way. He's very intense. You can ask our varsity and JV guys through dynamic. He didn't have problems yelling at them to make sure that they were locked in and focused for dynamic. I'd even tell Coach Rocky sometimes, like, man, Coach Mosley needs to chill a little bit. He's going a little crazy. But that intensity was great for our kids. And he made sure that they were ready to go every single night for all of our games. And I really appreciate everything Coach Mosley does for our program. Our last coach was Duffy. No, I'm just kidding. Am I lying, guys, back there? Nope. Two more guys that I'd like to give special thanks to is our little ball boys. Come on up, guys. We started the year with no ball boys, and then we went about 18 games with ball boys, and then all of a sudden, there's like 5 ball boys. And I kept looking at these guys like, you telling everybody they can be ball boys too? But I never said a word, okay, because I would never say anything about guys who want to be part of this program. And these guys proved it all year long. They had to put up with Coach Duffy getting on them about water. But they were smart. They went and got their own set of water bottles to make sure that everybody had water bottles, even though every varsity and JV guys, raise your hand if you still have your water bottle.
Jake, put your hand down.
Jake, I know for a fact that I had to pick up your water bottle more than anybody else on the team this year. But every kid was given a water bottle this year, and none of them brought them to games. So the job that these two guys did was really, really important. But what I like most is
all of Miss Paula's pictures and videos of these guys playing at halftime. Okay, because I know they put on a show at halftime. I got to go see them play in a couple of tournaments. Okay, and you talk about competitive. These guys are very, very competitive. So the future of Orrville basketball looks really, really bright. And I was so glad that Coach Mosley got you guys to come out and be ball boys for us. All right? Thanks. Players, okay. I'm going to call the varsity guys up all together. So all varsity guys, just come on up. So our varsity finished up at 17-6 this year, 10-2 in the pack. And as you can see, we were co-pack champs. So at the end, if any of you guys, and JV guys, you guys are included in this as well, because you work your tails off every single day, and these guys wouldn't have been pack champs without you guys. Okay? But if you guys want to come up and get a picture with the trophy, you guys are welcome to do that as well. 10-2 in the league, okay, which is really, really good. This group, as I tell them all the time, we may not have finished the season the way we wanted to, but when you look back on all of the things that they accomplished, I couldn't be more proud than a group of guys. We beat Worcester, first time in over 10 years that we beat Worcester. They swept Triway. First time we swept Triway since 2018. Okay, it was the first time that we did that. Okay? They got 2 home tournament basketball games. First time ever in Orrville history to have 2 tournament basketball games at home. So they obviously, and then becoming conference champions, they obviously did a lot of things that we didn't see. For the seniors, Braylon and Braylon, okay, and even the juniors, because a lot of the juniors had to play as varsity players or JV players as when they were freshmen, and the strides that they've made from the time that these seniors were freshmen until now is just unbelievable. They went from a team that didn't win a game, regular season game, to pack champs, and that's a credit to the way that these guys work. And like I said, that it might be one of the hardest working groups that I've ever been around. And I really appreciate how hard they work. Hopefully, we provided them with a pathway and an understanding of what they need to do to continue success. For our seniors, we hope that once they graduate, well, I don't hope, I know that they're going to go on to be great contributors to society. They have strong work ethic, and I can't wait to see what they do next year in college. Our juniors, that might be one of the hardest working classes I've ever seen. Like right now, Braden, I was already on him and Malachi. They ate like 4 grapes and 2 bites of salad because they're already planning, trying to get ready for next year already. I'm telling them they still need to eat, but they won't do that. If you've ever watched Trey on the floor, I'm not sure that there's a more fun kid to watch play defense and get after it than anybody that I've ever seen. So these guys definitely have provided a lot for me, and hopefully I provided some things for you guys to carry on, not just in basketball, but in life. We're going to start out with Chase Wiper. And Chase is receiving his first varsity letter. Trey Mosley. Trey is getting his second varsity letter. Case McDaniel couldn't be here. They had a baseball scrimmage, but Case will be receiving his 3rd letter. Braden Cox. He'll also be receiving his 3rd letter as well. Malachi Gray, he'll be receiving his 3rd letter as well. Braylon McDuffie will be receiving his 2nd letter. And Braylon Slaughter will be receiving his 3rd letter. Okay, so I'm going to go over some more things here in a second. But as far as Braylon McDuffie goes, some other individual awards. Braylon was selected as first team all district by the Coaches Association for his play this year. And then for Brady Cox, he was selected as first team all PAC and then honorable mention all district because of his play this year. Braylon Slaughter was voted as all PAC honorable mention this year from his play. And then Malachi Gray was honorable mention all district by the Coaches Association, and then first team PAC voted on by the coaches as well. So those are some individual awards by those guys. Braylon McDuffie is also receiving his captain's award, and then also Braylon Slaughter is receiving his captain's award as well. Okay, so round of applause. As you can see, if you look on the very second to last page of your program, okay, as I said before, Braylon Slaughter and Braylon McDuffie received their captain's plaques today. And then we're going to go through some of these other special awards as well. We'll start out with best free throw percentage. Okay? Probably not the person on the team that you would think would have the best free throw percentage, but if you knew how hard that he works all the time. Okay? One of the things about this young man that every day when he comes into the gym, it's all business. Okay? And when he comes in, he's probably the only guy that comes in that actually does his one-hand form shooting, and then he'll do his two-hand form shooting, and then he'll look over at me and say, "Hey, coach, what's next?" Malachi Gray. The thing I'm also going to say about Malachi is that most people didn't understand is Malachi played pretty much the whole season on bad knees. And there would be times where he couldn't practice, and even sometimes in games where he'd look at me and say, "Coach, I don't know." But then he would see his teammates out there battling, and he couldn't go without being out there with them. So even on bad knees, he was out there every single night with his team and doing the things that we asked him to do. So proud of Malachi and everything he did. Okay. Most points. Okay, someone who put in a lot of time this year. Okay, and as we went through the season, especially those first few games, I had a couple college coaches that were like, "Yeah, I really like that kid. Okay, tell me a little bit more about him," and things like that. Okay, but this young man, I know how much time he puts in at his game, and it came through this year, and he made huge strides from his sophomore year to his junior year. And what makes this even more special was that he didn't just win most points, he also won most assists as well. So he didn't just put up buckets, as everybody wants to do, he also distributed to his teammates as well. Okay, and that person is Brady Cox. Sometimes Braden wasn't as confident in himself, okay? And there would be times in games where I'd say, "Shoot the ball," okay? And then sometimes his teammates would say, "Braden, you shoot too much." And he would have to say, "Coach Slaughter keeps telling me to shoot," okay? And I'm still going to tell you, shoot. Shoot the damn ball. Yeah, shoot the ball, okay? And he took that, and but he played as a team player as well, and I really appreciate that about Braden. So, congratulations. Best defense. Hey, I mean, if you guys came to a basketball game, who else would we give it to besides Trey? Trey is kind of what we call a menace on defense, but I loved it because either he was going to steal the ball, or he was going to dive on the floor, or he was going to make the other guy so mad that he wanted to fight, and then his game was over with. And that's what I loved about Trey. Trey is not only our best defender, but he might be our best teammate as well. If anybody needed anything, Trey would be right there. But what I love about Trey the most was when his dad was sending me pictures of him in church on Sunday, and he was bringing other high school kids to church with him. the character that Trey possesses and the leadership that he possesses is unmatched right now, and I hope he continues to do those things. And I'm so proud of him, not from just being a great defender, but more importantly, being a great person and trusting and believing in God. Most rebounds. Okay. Another important one, guy who does the dirty work inside. Okay. And Braylon, okay, he's heard this before. When he was probably 3rd and 4th grade, I couldn't stand him. Always talking. And I'll never forget in 5th grade, we're playing in a game over at Canton, and I was more or less the manager. My wife would say I was more of a manager than a coach. And Braylon, we were playing Glen Oak. I don't know if you remember this or not. It's kind of funny because he did the same thing in varsity. We were playing for about 3 minutes. I think we were playing, and we were winning. And again, but the game was just going back and forth, and they had to call a timeout. And all the boys come over to the sideline after timeout. Braylon's like, "Man, I haven't touched the ball yet." And he just, "Well, you didn't touch the ball." And I was like, "Get a rebound." And he kind of looked at me and goes, "Oh yeah, you're right." And so he started rebounding and scoring points. If you know Braylon, and the coaches know, if we run up and down that court more than 3 possessions in a row and Braylon doesn't touch the ball, he'll look over at me and say, "Why am I out here? Why am I out here? They're just running up and down the court." And I'm like, "I know, Braylon, just go get a rebound." So for him to lead us in rebounding, see, started in 5th grade and it continues on. But like I'll tell anybody, he's one of the best leaders that I've ever been able to coach because just as much as he gets on everyone else, he's 2 times harder on himself. Okay, I probably never have had a player say, "Coach, take me out, I'm playing like crap." And then we take him out and I'd say, "Duck, we need you to get back in there." But I'm very, very proud of Braylon. And I'm looking forward to see what he does in college next year as well. Important because we want to make sure that it's student athlete first. Last year when I started coaching, this young man, he was in College Academy, and then he'd go to grandma's house, and he'd fall asleep, and then he came to practice late a couple times. It wasn't a good thing when he came to practice because he just so happened to be the coach's son as well. So when you come to practice late, you can only imagine what that's like. I even had to talk to my mom. I said, "Mom, he's at your house and he's sleeping, and it's 2:30. Wake him up." And initially she said, "Well, I can't wake up my baby. He's sleeping." Wake him up. And this year, I think he only came late one time, but he was moving. So, Braylon has done a great job in the classroom through College Academy, and we appreciate all of his hard work with the Scholar Athlete Award. One of the most important awards to me, I started this back the first time when I was coaching. There's an award called the Steve Smith Award. And this goes out, so some of you young guys pay attention. Okay? Obviously, Coach Smith coached here for over 25 years. Names on the floor. He's in the Hall of Fame, not just here, but in the Wayne County Sports Hall of Fame, and was integral in my life in getting me to where I am today. And I always wanted to make sure that I honored him every year. So every year I give out the Steve Smith Award to all players who have played Orrville basketball from grade 7 all the way up through 12. And Braylon was our winner of the Steve Smith Award for this year. This next award is a coach's award. We had to get 2 of these because we had 2 young men that I think are really deserving of these awards. The first one, come on up, Chase. Last last year, Chase played JV for us, and he was determined to play varsity this year. And he worked really hard last spring. He worked his tail off all summer. He worked his tail off in the fall, and not just at basketball. He has a job. Where you going? Getting ready to go on a mission trip. What else? Mowing, everything you, DoorDash, anything you can think of, he's doing. Okay? And did you miss any practices this year? I don't remember you missing one. Okay? And 90% of the time, he was one of the first ones at practice every single day. You talk about a kid that's going to do well in life. It's this young man right here. He's developed a strong work ethic. I told the coaches back in the summer, I said, Chase is going to help us out at some point in time throughout the year. He's very, very patient. Early on, he wasn't playing as much as he wanted to, but he stuck with it. He never let that affect how hard he worked in practice. He never let that affect how he worked in school. I know he goes to the Career Center, and Coach Smith keeps an eye on our guys at the Career Center for us, and he's always said, Chase is just a good kid. He comes every day, he works his tail off, teachers love him, and we love him as a coaching staff. So when we started to talk about some of these awards, we had to, it wasn't hard for us to pick one of our Coaches Award winner, and that was Chase Piper. So appreciate it. Our other award winner, he's not here tonight, is Case. But Case was kind of the same way as Chase. He came every day. Now, Case likes to talk a little bit more than Chase does. But Case did a phenomenal job. Again, another player that early on wasn't playing as much as he wanted to, but he continued to work hard and got better as the season went on, and that got him more playing time. But I just want to make sure that we don't forget about Case as well. Another tough situation, our last award, I call it the coach's MVP, because when we talked about an MVP, I texted the coaches and I said, who we gonna have for MVP this year? And it was a tie. I left myself out of the situation because obviously my son's involved in this as well. I left myself out of the situation, and the coaches unanimously said, hey, Coach, we can't decide between the two. They both have different aspects about them that are very, very important. Okay, so Braylon, come on up. For Big Braylon, I'll never forget, we had a practice as we were getting ready for tournaments, and Braylon missed practice. He thought we actually had a game that night. So I texted him, I'm like, where you at, Duff? He's like, I'm getting my hair cut. What time do we gotta be at the school? And I'm like, we're in practice right now. And he was like, oh no. It was legit the worst practice that we had all season long. There was no energy. We were turning the ball over left and right. It just wasn't very fun. At the end of practice, coaches were a little upset. I was upset. And then when we got to the office, I said, you know what? It doesn't even matter, because Duff will be back tomorrow, and I guarantee you practice will be good. And he was back the next day, and practice was right back to where it always is as far as getting after it, being enthusiastic and energetic and things like that. So he kind of provided that on-court, in-practice leadership of not letting anybody not practice hard. Braylon, on the other hand, the coaches believed that he was the calming influence of our team. We had many times where things would get a little crazy, myself included, and he would come over, and I could always tell when I was getting too wound up, because he would come over and he'd put his hand on my shoulder and he'd say, Dad, and I'd be like, get back in the huddle. And then I'd think to myself, he never calls me Dad when we're in basketball. It's only Dad at home. When I'm at basketball, it's always Coach, because he and I both understood that we need to have that separation, but we really appreciated his calming influence while he was on the floor. We definitely were a different team when he wasn't on the floor. And by the end of the season, he found his voice as well. And when we had some difficult situations, he was willing to step up and hold people accountable, and we really appreciate that. So both Braylons congratulations. They got their senior awards from Coach Mosley as well that they'll be taking home, and we just wanted to make sure that we appreciated those guys, and great job your senior year.
All right, hold up. It's my turn now. Coach Slaw, you stand over here. Coaches, get over here. Come over here and stand by him. Come on, coaches. So real quick, obviously, unless you know Coach Slaughter, he has a big problem with talking about himself. All right, so obviously, you know, I will tell you, we don't come from a 4-17 team to what we did over the past 2 years without him. All right, so I'm gonna try to keep it together. Let me. Couple things that, you know, when you look at this coaching staff, he had to put together a coaching staff that, for one, got along, that trusted his vision, and that loved kids. Coach Slaughter got the big problem. His weakness is he don't like to talk about himself. It's all about the team, it's about the kids, and it's about the coaching staff. Always. In fact, I'll tell you, this thing right here, obviously, he pretended like he didn't see it. But on here, it says that he was back-to-back Coach of the Year, okay? So the head coach goes to a district meeting every single year, and that's where all the coaches in the district, they pick out the honorable mention, the MVP of the district, and all that kind of stuff, okay? He comes back, he briefs us coaches. For one, he doesn't really tell us when it was, but as he was there, you know, he came back and told us what kids on the team got rewards. Then we're looking on Facebook like a week later, and here he is, you know, with Coach of the Year. So obviously we're in the coach's office, we're like, what the hell? Like, he's Coach of the Year, he didn't tell us? Like, that's a pretty big deal. So he has a basketball here that says, obviously, back-to-back Coach of the Year for the 2 years. I just want to tell you how much this program, what you did to the program, it means a lot, and thank you. Kids are much better off because of you, because you came back. Thank you.
Obviously, you know, everybody knows that I'm not going to be able to come back next year as the head coach. It's probably the most difficult thing that I had to do was tell the team. And like Coach Wilson said, it's not about me. It's about these coaches and all these players that are out here. You know, I heard a few years ago that Orrville had kids who didn't know how to work hard. And that was the biggest lie that I've ever heard in my life, because I know how hard Orrville kids work. I know how good Orrville kids are. I know how great this community is. And so when I had the opportunity to come back, that was important to me. I planned on staying back a little bit longer than what I have. But I'll tell everyone the same thing I told the kids. I always encourage our kids to make goals in their lives, and being the principal at some point in time was a goal that I had in my educational career, and I had an opportunity to do that. And I did it because I wanted to be able to try to impact even more students besides just on the basketball floor. But for these guys, they know how to get to where they want to get. And I've told all of them that no matter, just because I'm not the coach next year does not mean I'm not going to be right there for them. I'm going to continue to help them out as much as I possibly can. I'm still going to be at all the boys' games, just like I always have, just because I love Orrville basketball and it means a lot to me. But it definitely was one of the hardest things that I had to do. I'm still not even sure if I made the right decision or not, but we'll find out, and hopefully the middle school will be standing at the end of next school year. But I do know one thing, that these guys are great players, and Orrville basketball is in good hands because of these guys and because of all you as parents and everything that you've instilled in your kids. So I really appreciate all the support that everyone has given me over the last couple of years and to our basketball program. I thought this year, I heard a lot of people say it, and I hadn't said it ever, but I'm gonna say it now, that Orrville basketball is back. And we need to just make sure that we continue to do the things that we keep it where it belongs, which is at the top. Okay? So thank you, parents. Thank you, players. Went a little longer than I wanted to, but thanks everybody for coming. If you need some more food, there's plenty of food still back there. Take some drinks, or else Coach Tyson is going to be loading up his card as a single guy. He don't need all those drinks.